The meeting room buzzed with alien voices. Representatives from 12 different species had gathered to watch Earth's first military demonstration. Captain Lee Taman stood at the front of the room. His uniform was neat and clean. Behind him, a hologram showed humanity's newest warship. The ship looked ugly compared to alien vessels. It had square corners and thick armor plates. The aliens had ships that looked smooth and beautiful. The human ship looked like a flying brick. Ambassador Krill was a tall alien with hard shell skin. He clicked his mouthparts together. The sound meant he was amused. "Captain Lee, your ship goes 12% light speed?" "Yes," Taman answered. The room exploded with laughter. Even the quiet aliens seemed to find it funny. Their skin flashed with colors that showed they were laughing. "Our smallest fighters go 37%, Krill said. His voice was full of mockery. "Your ship is very slow. You cannot run away from anyone." Commander Park Ji-won stood next to Taman. She wanted to say something angry, but she stayed quiet. She had told her leaders that showing the ship too early was a mistake. "We do not need to be fast," Taman said calmly. "Of course not," Krill buzzed. "What is that ugly thing on the front of your ship?" "Some kind of antenna?" "That is our weapon," Taman said. More laughter filled the room. One alien actually hit his desk with his 6 fingers. "One weapon, just one. Our small ships have 47 different weapons." Lieutenant Choi Hyun sat on the bridge of the Indomitable. He was listening to everything. He turned off his microphone so nobody could hear him curse. "They think we are a joke." Chief Engineer Kim Min-ho was in the engine room. "They will see soon enough," he said. But even his voice sounded unsure. Back in the meeting room, Krill leaned forward. His big eyes shined with confidence. "Humans, you have spirit. We like that. But you should let real warriors handle fighting. The Vrelian hegemony will protect Earth. You just need to pay us tribute." The other aliens nodded. They agreed with Krill. Humans were new to space. They were slow. They only had one weapon. They were weak and needed protection. Taman's face did not change. "We do not want your protection. But we would like to do the test we agreed on. We will shoot at an old Vrelian warship. The Razorwind?" Krill laughed even harder. "That ship survived a 3-day battle. Its shields are very strong. You will not even scratch it." "We will try," Taman said quietly. "Should we go to the observation ships?" The aliens left the meeting room. They were still laughing and talking. They went to special ships with strong shields. These ships would let them watch safely. This would be entertaining. They would watch the humans waste their ammunition on a target they could never hurt. On the Indomitable, Hyun got the signal to start. "All stations get ready. Target is the old Vrelian destroyer. Distance is 50,000 kilometers. That is their starting range?" An alien observer laughed. "We fight from 10 times farther away." "Weapon is charging," said Weapons Officer Sung Nari. Her hands moved over her controls. She felt embarrassed by how the aliens had treated them. "Power at 20%, 40%, 60%. The targeting computer locked onto the old Vrelian destroyer. The ship hung in empty space. Its shields were at full power. The hull was shiny metal. It looked impossible to destroy. "Power at 100%, Nari said. "Ready to fire! Fire!" Taman ordered. The galaxy laughed at the slow human ship. Then something changed. The Indomitable shook slightly. All the lights dimmed for just a moment. On the observation ships, the aliens leaned forward. They expected to see colorful beams or missiles. Instead, they saw nothing, no light, no trail, no explosion. Nothing at all. For less than 1 second, everything was quiet. Then the Vrelian destroyer simply stopped existing. It did not explode like ships usually do. It did not break apart. One moment it was there, 500 meters of strong battle metal with active shields. The next moment there was only a cloud of hot gas. Where the ship had been, there was now just empty space glowing with heat. The observation room became completely silent. "What did you do?" Krill's voice was barely a whisper. Captain Taman looked at his datapad. He seemed calm, like he had just checked a grocery list. "We fired our weapon, just like you asked." On the Indomitable, Lieutenant Hyun was looking at his sensors. He could not believe what he saw. Target is gone. Completely destroyed. Nothing left bigger than molecules. Weapons Officer Nari was already checking the weapon system. "Weapon is ready. We can fire again in 47 seconds. Chief Engineer Min-ho's voice came from the engine room. He sounded excited. It worked perfectly. The magnetic field's held. The core temperature is stable. We can do this all day. Back on the observation ships, the aliens were in chaos. Everyone was demanding information. They wanted to know what had just happened. Ambassador Krill sat very still. His mouth parts were frozen. Finally, he spoke. Captain Lee, what was that weapon? Commander Park smiled just a little bit. Taman answered the question. We call it a mass driver, Taman said. Or more simply, a railgun. Impossible, said an alien whose skin flashed panic colors. We have studied kinetic weapons. At your ship's speed, at that distance, a simple projectile could not do that. Our ship is slow, Taman interrupted. We never said our ammunition was slow. A hologram appeared showing how the weapon worked. The aliens stared in growing fear. The projectile is made of tungsten carbide, Commander Park explained. It is 15 centimeters wide and 2 meters long. It weighs 140 kilograms. That is nothing, said one alien. Our defense systems stop projectiles 10 times that big. At what speed? Park asked. Nobody answered. Your defense systems are made to stop missiles and fighters, Park continued. They track heat and engine exhaust and electronic signals. Our projectile has none of those things. Hyun looked at his firing data. Acceleration corridor is 1.2 kilometers long. Magnetic acceleration all the way through. Nari added. Exit velocity is 91% light speed. The observation room exploded with noise. 91%. That is impossible, Krill screamed. Nothing physical can be pushed to that speed without breaking apart. Nothing with an engine can, Minho said proudly from engineering. Our projectile has no engine. No guidance system. No electronics. Just dense metal accelerated by magnetic fields along a corridor that runs through our entire ship. That is why the ship is so slow, another alien whispered. The whole ship is built around that weapon. Taman nodded. The Indomitable is basically a flying railgun with life support. Everything else is secondary to the weapon. Park showed impact calculations on a screen. At 91% light speed, our 140-kilogram projectile hits with about 900 trillion joules of energy. She paused to let them understand. That is 20 times more powerful than the biggest nuclear bomb humans ever made. And it is delivered in a package smaller than your arm. It moves so fast that physics makes it even heavier when it hits. The shields, Krill started to say. Your shields stop energy weapons and slow projectiles, Taman said. They are not made to stop something this small moving this fast with this much power. Lieutenant Choi showed the video in slow motion. Your shields turned on perfectly. They saw the threat, but the projectile passed through before the shield could adjust. Time from shield contact to hull penetration, 6 nanoseconds. The video showed the tungsten rod punching through the Relian destroyer like it was not there. The ship's armor, the inside, the reactors, everything. The projectile went straight through in a perfect line. Then all the energy turned into heat and vaporized the entire ship from the inside. Engineer Minho added one more terrible detail. And because the projectile has no power until we fire, there is no way to know our ship is armed. No energy buildup, no targeting scans, no weapon signatures. We look harmless until we shoot. You are telling us, an alien said slowly, her skin turning almost white, that humanity has made a weapon that cannot be detected, cannot be stopped, and hits with strategic weapon power? Yes, Taman said simply. And you can fire this how often? Weapons Officer Nari checked her console. Right now, 43 seconds between shots. We are working to make it faster. The observation deck had gone from mocking laughter to complete silence in less than 2 minutes. Ambassador Krill's voice sounded hollow and empty. How many of these ships does Earth have? Captain Lee Taman smiled for the first time. That information is classified. But I can tell you we have 6 more in just this fleet group. Outside the windows, the Indomitable hung in space. It looked ugly and slow and absolutely terrifying. The galaxy had laughed at humanity. The galaxy was not laughing anymore. 3 hours passed after the demonstration. The Galactic Council met again in emergency session. The room that had been full of mocking laughter now felt heavy with fear. Captain Taman and Commander Park stood at the podium. 2 galactic security officers stood near them. The officers looked uncomfortable with their job. This is a war crime waiting to happen, declared Council High Arbiter Velix. He was a being made of pure energy inside a crystal container. You have created a weapon of mass destruction. Taman shook his head. With respect, Arbiter, we created a precision weapon. That destroyer was hit by one projectile 15 centimeters wide. Nothing else was damaged. Only what was in the direct path. That is just word games, hissed Ambassador Krill. He had recovered some confidence but none of his earlier arrogance. You have broken the compact of civilized warfare. Commander Park pulled up documents on the holographic display. Article 7, Section 12 says, no member shall use weapons of random destruction including antimatter bombs, planet destroyers, star weapons, or nanoplagues. She looked up calmly. Our weapon is none of those things. It needs direct line of sight and careful targeting. It hits one specific point. How is this different from your beam weapons? The power, Krill said angrily. The sheer destructive force is exactly what your capital ships use regularly, Park replied. She showed tactical data. The Vrelian Hegemony flagship has a plasma weapon that can crack a continent. The Moth Collective dreadnoughts carry fusion missiles that can kill all life on a planet. Should we talk about the Lothric antimatter torpedoes? Uncomfortable silence filled the room. The difference, Arbiter Velik said slowly, is that those weapons are on large, expensive capital ships, ships that take years to build and are easy to track. Your weapon is on a destroyer-class vessel, a small ship. That is the first accurate thing I have heard today, Taman said. Yes, we put strategic firepower on a tactical platform. We democratized the big weapon. On the Indomitable, Lieutenant Hyun was watching the council meeting. He was also handling many communications. Alien military commands were requesting technical details. Sir, 17 different species are asking if we will share our technology. Chief Engineer Minho laughed from engineering. Tell them we are busy, maybe in a few centuries when we know them better. Back in the chamber, a new voice spoke. It was Counselor Thex. He represented the ancient Varl species. His civilization had been in space for 12,000 years. Perhaps, Thex said in his deep, gravelly voice, we are asking the wrong questions. The chamber became quiet. The Varl rarely spoke. When they did, others listened carefully. Captain Lee, your species joined the galactic community 7 years ago. You were technologically inferior in almost every way. How did you develop this weapon so quickly? Taman and Park looked at each other. We did not develop it quickly, Counselor. We have had railgun technology for over a century. Impossible, Krill objected. You did not have faster-than-light travel until we gave it to you. We did not have FTL travel, Park agreed. But we have been thinking about how to kill each other efficiently for thousands of years. She pulled up a historical timeline of human warfare. The alien delegates stared in growing shock. There were so many conflicts, so many wars. In the last 5,000 years of recorded history, humanity has been at peace globally for less than 300 years. Park continued. We have fought each other with sticks, stones, bronze, iron, steel, gunpowder, nuclear weapons, and yes, electromagnetic accelerators. Your species has been in near constant war with itself? An alien asked, looking horrified. Yes, Taman said simply. We are very good at it. When you offered us FTL technology for trade agreements, we already had weapons. We just needed to put them on ships that could reach the battlefield. Counselor Thex leaned forward. And your slow speed? That was on purpose? Every design has trade-offs, Chief Engineer Minho said through the holoscreen from the Indomitable. We gave up speed for power generation. Our reactors are bigger and stronger than similar alien designs because we needed the energy output. We cannot outrun anyone, but we can definitely outshoot them. This is a philosophical difference, Arbiter Velik said thoughtfully. Most species develop space travel to explore, to expand, to escape their homeworld. You developed it to project military power. No, Taman corrected. We developed space travel for all those reasons. But we also recognized that the galaxy might not be friendly. You proved us right, Krill became angry. We offered you protection. You offered us slavery, Park shot back. You assumed we were weak because we were slow. You assumed we were harmless because we were new. You made the same mistake every bully makes. You judged our ability by our appearance. Weapons Officer Nari listened from her station. She allowed herself a small smile. She had been in the military long enough to see the pattern. Every exercise with alien forces had been the same. They underestimated humans. Speed was everything in galactic warfare, but humans had learned something different from their history. Speed does not matter if you cannot survive the first attack. So what now? Asked a Lothric delegate. You demonstrated you can destroy a ship. This was theater. What do you actually want? Taman straightened. We want the same things as before the demonstration. We want peaceful trade, cultural exchange, and equal standing in the galactic community. The only difference is that now you know we can defend those interests. This changes everything, Counselor Thex observed. The balance of power was always an illusion, Park interrupted. You assumed it existed because humanity did not challenge it. But we were never as weak as you thought. We were just quiet. Lieutenant Hyun flagged an incoming message. Captain, we are receiving a communication from the Vrelian Military Command. They are requesting a mutual defense treaty. On the observation vessels, other military officers were sending similar messages to their governments. The calculation was simple. If you could not beat the humans, it was better to be friends with them. Arbiter Velix made a decision. This session is adjourned. Captain Lee, Commander Park. The Council will think about humanity's status. Meanwhile, I strongly suggest your fleet stays where it is. We are not going anywhere, Taman assured him. We are too slow, remember? The joke did not make anyone laugh. But the point was made. As the delegates left, Counselor Thex approached the human officers privately. Captain, advice from one warrior species to another. Counselor, you made your point. You showed your strength. Now comes the harder part. Managing the fear you created. Fear makes civilizations do crazy things. Taman nodded seriously. We understand, Counselor. But we also understand that respect without strength is just hope. Thex's smile was disturbing on his alien face. Indeed. Welcome to galactic politics, Captain. It is much more dangerous than galactic warfare. As the Varl counselor left, Commander Park turned to Taman. Do you think they will accept us as equals now? Taman watched through the window. More alien vessels were moving. They were unconsciously moving farther away from the Indomitable. They will accept us as something, he said. Whether that is equals or threats, we will see. On the bridge of the Indomitable, the crew waited. They had fired once and changed everything. Now came the uncertain part. Living with the consequences. The galaxy had laughed at the slow human ship. Then the galaxy had gone silent. Now the galaxy was thinking very carefully about what to do with humanity. Back on Earth, Admiral Han Jisoo was watching the council proceedings from military headquarters. She turned to her staff officers. Begin construction on the next 6 destroyers, she ordered, and start designs for the Mark II railgun. If they respect us now, we need to make sure they keep respecting us. Should we make the ships faster? One officer asked. Admiral Han shook her head. No. Speed is their advantage. Power is ours. We do not compete on their terms. We make them compete on ours. In the Galactic Council chambers, delegates were having private conversations. New alliances were being discussed. Defense treaties were being drafted. Economic partnerships were being proposed. Everything had changed in less than 1 second. The time it took for a tungsten rod to travel 11 kilometers and destroy a ship. Ambassador Krill sat alone in his quarters. He was reviewing the footage again and again, trying to understand how he had been so wrong. His species had dominated this region of space for 3,000 years. They had the fastest ships, the most weapons, the strongest shields. And yet, a slow human destroyer had made all of that meaningless. He pulled up the technical analysis his military had prepared. The numbers were terrifying. At 91% light speed, the human projectile was essentially unstoppable. No shield technology could deflect that much kinetic energy. No armor could withstand it. No countermeasure could track something moving that fast. The humans had found a hole in galactic warfare doctrine. Everyone had focused on energy weapons and speed. Nobody had thought about simple kinetic impact at relativistic speeds. Krill opened a communication channel to his homeworld. This is Ambassador Krill. I am recommending immediate diplomatic overtures to Earth. We need them as allies, not enemies. Similar conversations were happening across dozens of alien worlds. Military strategists were redesigning their doctrines. Diplomats were crafting new treaties. 5 days after the demonstration, something happened that would test humanity in a different way. Captain, Lieutenant Hyun's voice was urgent. We are receiving a distress call from the civilian transport Harmony Wind. They are under attack in the Kelper 7 system. 3 jumps from our position. Captain Taman reached the bridge in seconds. Give me details. Raiders. Looks like a Dresh pirate clan. Hyun pulled up the tactical display. The Harmony Wind is a Moth passenger vessel. 317 people on board. Mostly civilians. They are outgunned and asking for help. Commander Park checked the navigation plot. Kelper 7 is on the edge of Vrelian territory. Where are their patrol ships? At least 6 hours away, Hyun reported. We are the closest military vessel. Taman studied the numbers. 3 jumps at their maximum FTL speed would take 45 minutes. The Harmony wind was reporting heavy damage. They might not have 45 minutes. Are any faster ships nearby? He asked. There is a Vrelian cruiser 2 systems over, the Swift Talon, Hyun said. They could be there in 20 minutes. The communication system crackled. Human vessel Indomitable. This is Captain Vrel of the Swift Talon. We received the distress call, but we are busy with anti-smuggling operations. Can you respond? Park met Taman's eyes. They both knew what this was. It is a test, she said quietly. They want to see if we will actually protect non-human lives. Or, Taman replied, it is a real emergency and we are thinking too much. Chief Engineer Minho's voice came through. Captain, if we push the reactors hard, I can cut 5 minutes off our jump time. But we will need an hour to cool down after. No combat capability during that time. Do it, Taman ordered. Lieutenant Hyun, plot the fastest route. Commander Park, get me everything we know about Dresh pirates. As the Indomitable powered up its FTL drive, Park pulled up intelligence files. The Dresh are raiders. They hit civilian vessels for cargo and ransom. They have fast ships with light weapons. They overwhelm targets before help arrives. If they know we are coming, they will either run or take hostages, Taman finished. How many ships? Sensors from the Harmony wind show 4 Dresh raiders. Standard corvette class. Weapons Officer Nari ran calculations. Sir, our weapon is designed for capital ships. If we fire at something as small as a corvette near a civilian vessel, the debris field alone could kill people. I know, Taman said. We will need to be creative. The Indomitable jumped into FTL. In the Galactic Council Observation Network, dozens of species watched. This was indeed a test, just not the kind humanity had expected. If the humans fire their superweapon near civilians, they will prove they are reckless, one delegate observed. If they do not fire and the civilians die, they will prove they are useless, another said. Counselor Thex watched silently. He was curious to see how humans would adapt. 40 minutes later, the Indomitable dropped out of FTL at the edge of Kelper 7 system. Lieutenant Hyun immediately analyzed the situation. 4 Dresh raiders confirmed. They are surrounding the Harmony wind. The transport shields are at 12% and falling. They are venting atmosphere from multiple hull breaches. Open all communication channels, Taman ordered. This is Captain Lee Taman of the Korea Deep Space Force ship Indomitable. Dresh vessels, you are ordered to stop your attack immediately and surrender. The response was predictable. Laughter and insults in broken galactic common. They are not taking us seriously, Park noted. They probably have not heard about our demonstration. Their mistake, Taman said. Lieutenant Hyun, how long until the Swift Talon arrives? 15 minutes, sir. The Harmony wind does not have 15 minutes. Nari, can you target the raiders without hitting the transport? The weapons officer studied her display. Negative, sir. They are using the Harmony wind as cover, staying within 200 meters of her hull. At our weapons speed, we would punch straight through and hit the transport. Then we need to change the geometry, Taman said. Helm, bring us in at full thrust. Maximum deceleration burn. I want us between the raiders and the transport in 3 minutes. Sir, that will make us a target, Hyun warned. That is the plan. The Indomitable surged forward. Its massive engines burned hard. The Dresh pirates saw an unfamiliar warship approaching. They split their formation. 2 stayed with the transport. 2 moved to attack. They are targeting us, Hyun reported. Energy weapons, plasma-based, not very powerful. Shields? Taman asked. Holding at 97%. Their weapons are designed for civilian targets, not military shields. Taman smiled. Then let us give them something to think about. Nari, can you get a firing solution on the 2 breaking off? Yes, sir. Clear shot in 15 seconds. Wait for my command. Minho, I need every spare bit of power to the forward shields. What are you planning? Park asked. Something risky, Taman admitted. Helm reverse thrust. I want us stopped directly between the raiders and the transport. Make us the biggest target in the system. The Indomitable slowed, then stopped. It presented its heavily armored bow to the approaching Dresh corvettes. The pirates, sensing an easy kill, opened fire with everything they had. Plasma bolts hit the Indomitable's shields. Energy reading spiked but held. Shields at 89%, Hyun reported. 84. They are concentrating fire. On the observation network, delegates watched in confusion. "What is the human doing?" one asked. "Why is he not shooting?" Counselor Thex leaned forward. "He is doing what humans do best. He is being bait." On the Indomitable, Taman watched the tactical display. The two raiders attacking them were fully committed. They were pouring fire into the destroyer's shields. Behind them, the other two pirates were still near the Harmony Wind, trying to force a boarding. "Shields at 71%. Hyun called out. "Hold steady," Taman said calmly. 64%. "Hold steady." Commander Park gripped her console. She understood the plan now. Let the pirates think they had a chance. Draw them out. Make them forget they were outgunned. "Shields at 58%, Hyun said. Tension filled his voice. "Nari," Taman said quietly. "Solution?" "Locked. Both targets. Clear firing line." "Fire." The Indomitable shuddered once. The railgun fired a single tungsten rod at 91% light speed. The projectile crossed 11 kilometers in 0.04 seconds, far too fast for the Dresh pirates to react. The rod punched through the first corvette from bow to stern. The kinetic energy was so violent that the ship folded in half before exploding. But Weapons Officer Nari had calculated something clever. The targeting computer had found the exact angle so the rod would continue after passing through the first ship and hit the second corvette. It did. The second raider simply came apart. Unable to withstand a projectile that had already destroyed one ship and was still moving at incredible speed. Total time from firing to destruction of both targets, 1.7 seconds. Other observation network. Complete silence. "Did that projectile?" one delegate started. "Went through both ships," another confirmed. "One shot. 2 kills." The remaining 2 Dresh pirates near the Harmony Wind suddenly became very interested in leaving. They broke off and began burning hard toward the system's edge. "Sir, the remaining raiders are trying to escape," Hyun reported. Taman checked the status of the Harmony Wind. "How is the transport?" "Badly damaged but stable." "They are working on emergency repairs." "Then let us make sure those pirates do not hurt anyone else. Nari, can you hit fleeing targets?" The weapons officer ran calculations. "They are accelerating hard and their path is erratic. But at their current speed, yes, I can compensate." Target solutions locked. Fire at will. 2 more shots. 2 more corvettes turned into expanding clouds of debris. Total time from arrival to elimination of all threats. 4 minutes. 17 seconds. Total ammunition used, 3 projectiles. On the Harmony Wind, the Moth crew watched their sensors in disbelief. The human ship had not even moved during the fight. It just sat there, absorbed damage, and then casually erased 4 pirate vessels like they were practice targets. The Swift Talon arrived 12 minutes later. They found the crisis resolved and the Indomitable helping the damaged transport. "Captain Lee," Captain Vrel of the Swift Talon said slowly. "That was very efficient." "We protect those who cannot protect themselves," Taman replied simply. "Is that not what military forces are supposed to do?" In the Galactic Council chambers, Arbiter Velix reviewed the footage. "They passed the test," he said to the assembled delegates. "They used their weapon responsibly. They distinguished between targets. They put civilian safety first. They also demonstrated they can shoot down multiple fast-moving targets with terrible precision." Krill noted bitterly. "That was not supposed to be possible with a kinetic weapon." Counselor Thex's expression was thoughtful. "Perhaps we have been thinking about weapons wrong for too long. We focused on speed and energy output. The humans focused on physics and accuracy. Are we going to officially recognize them as equal military power?" asked a Lothric representative. The Arbiter considered. "I do not think we have a choice. They proved they are not just capable of destruction. They are capable of protection. That is the mark of a civilized military." On the Indomitable, the crew was helping coordinate rescue operations with the Harmony Wind. Medical supplies, repair equipment, and emergency personnel were being transferred. 2 weeks after the Kelper 7 rescue, the Galactic Council met to discuss humanity's future in the galaxy. The mood had changed completely from their first meeting. Captain Lee Taman entered the council chamber. This time delegates stood as he walked in. It was not required by any rule. They did it out of respect. Respect that was earned, not given. "Captain Lee," Arbiter Velix began. His crystal container pulsed with formal colors. The Council has finished reviewing humanity's military capabilities and behavior. We have reached a decision. Taman stood straight. Commander Park stood beside him. Behind them, connected by hologram, were representatives from Earth's Defense Ministry. Admiral Han Jisoo, head of the Korea Deep Space Force, watched carefully. The Galactic Compact recognizes the Korea Deep Space Force, and by extension, Earth's Unified Defense Forces, as a sovereign military power with full rights under galactic law. Applause filled the chamber. This time, it was genuine. Furthermore, the Arbiter continued, 3 member species have formally requested mutual defense treaties with humanity. The Council has approved these requests. Councillor Thex stepped forward. The Varl Concordat is pleased to announce we are one of those species. We recognize in humanity a kindred spirit, a civilization that understands that true strength is not just the ability to destroy, it is the wisdom of when to do so. Ambassador Krill, looking much more humble than before, also approached. The Vrelian hegemony apologizes for our first assessment. We judged you by our standards instead of your capabilities. We would be honored to discuss joint military exercises and technology sharing. About that, Chief Engineer Minho said from the Indomitable. He could not help himself. We are still not sharing the railgun technology. Nervous laughter spread through the chamber. We were not going to ask, Krill replied. His mouth parts clicked, and what humans had learned was his version of a smile. We have been running computer simulations. The engineering challenges alone would take us decades to solve. You humans are, as you say, built different. A Moth delegate spoke up. It was the captain whose ship had been saved at Kelper 7. If I may speak, I believe we have all learned an important lesson from humanity. We spent thousands of years making our militaries faster and more efficient. We created elegant weapons for elegant warfare. She gestured toward the hologram showing the Indomitable. The humans looked at warfare and created something simple and absolutely devastating. And then, this is the important part, they showed restraint. They chose precision over power. They chose protection over aggression. Lieutenant Hyun was monitoring from the Indomitable. A message came through. Sir, we just received formal requests from 6 different species. They want to buy Earth-manufactured railgun destroyers. Park reviewed the request and showed it to Taman. He shook his head slightly. Politely decline, he said quietly. Not yet. At the council podium, Taman addressed the assembly. We appreciate the recognition and the offers of alliance, but I want to be clear about humanity's intentions. He pulled up a star map. We are not interested in becoming a military superpower. We are not looking to dominate galactic politics or start arms races. What we want is simple, to be left alone to develop at our own pace, to trade fairly, and to defend ourselves and our allies when necessary. However, Commander Park added, we also want it understood that defend is the key word. We designed our military for defense, not conquest. Our ships are slow because we do not need to chase anyone. We need to stand our ground. Admiral Han's hologram spoke from Earth. The Korea Deep Space Force operates under strict rules. Every weapon discharge must be justified. Every target must be validated. We do not fire unless fired upon, unless civilians are in danger, or unless our allies request help. And yet, observed a Lothric delegate, you could conquer half the galaxy with your current fleet. We could try, Taman acknowledged. But we would lose. You are faster, more numerous, and you know the terrain better. But more importantly, we do not want to. We learned from our own history that conquest is expensive, bloody, and ultimately pointless. Councillor Thex nodded slowly. This is wisdom. Many species learn this lesson only after centuries of warfare. You learned it on your own world. We are still learning it, Park said honestly. Humanity is not perfect. We have disagreements and our own internal conflicts, but we learned that survival requires cooperation, both among ourselves and with others. The Arbiter brought up a new document. With that understanding, the Council proposes this. Humanity will be granted seats on the Security Subcouncil, with full voting rights on military matters. In exchange, humanity agrees to share defensive technology. Not weapons, but countermeasures and protective systems. Taman looked at Park. She nodded. We accept with one addition, which is, we want to establish the Galactic Protection Initiative, a joint force made of ships from multiple species, designed specifically for anti-piracy and civilian protection. Humanity will contribute 2 destroyers to the force. We will train mixed crews on our systems. The chamber buzzed with conversation. It was an unprecedented offer. Humans sharing their ships, if not their weapon technology. You would allow alien crews on your vessels? Krill asked, surprised. On some of them, Taman confirmed. Under human command initially, but yes. If we are going to be part of this galactic community, we should act like it. Chief Engineer Minho groaned over the communication system. Sir, do you know how much paperwork that will create for me? Better paperwork than war, Minho, Taman replied with a slight smile. Weapons Officer Nari had a question. Captain, if we are training alien crews, they will learn how the railgun works. They will learn how to use it, Taman corrected. That is different from building it. And honestly, Nari, I think we will learn as much from them as they learn from us. Imagine our targeting systems with moth sensors, or our shields with Vrelian field technology. Or, Lieutenant Hyun added excitedly, our ships with faster engines so we are not the slowest thing in every system. Let us not get ahead of ourselves, Park cautioned. We keep the strategic advantage of the railgun, but everything else, we can share, adapt, improve together, the council voted. The measure passed with complete agreement. As the session ended, delegates approached the human officers with genuine friendliness. Offers of cultural exchanges, scientific cooperation, trade agreements, the kind of diplomatic gestures that meant real partnership, not fake tolerance. Ambassador Krill approached last. Captain Lee, I want to apologize again. When I first saw your ship, I thought you were primitive. I was wrong. You are not entirely wrong, Taman said diplomatically. We are less advanced in many areas, but we learned to maximize what we had. Krill's mouth parts clicked thoughtfully. My government would like to invite you to Vrelia Prime, officially for a state visit. Unofficially, we have military historians who would love to understand your strategic philosophy. Human military history is violent and depressing, Park warned. Yes, Krill agreed, but apparently effective. We have been fighting the same way for 3,000 years. Maybe it is time we learn some new approaches. Back on the Indomitable, the crew gathered for a briefing. Captain Taman stood before them. He looked at the faces of the men and women who had changed humanity's place in the galaxy. We fired 4 times, he said quietly, once in the demonstration. 3 times at Kelper 7, 4 shots total, and we went from being laughed at to being respected. Lieutenant Hyun spoke up. Sir, does this mean we will have to fire more shots in the future? Probably, Taman admitted. But that is not the point. The point is that we showed the galaxy something unexpected. The capacity for violence, when paired with the judgment to use it wisely, is more powerful than just having a big weapon. Chief Engineer Minho raised his hand. Sir, I have to ask, when we designed this ship back on Earth, did anyone actually think this would work? That we would be accepted? Taman and Park looked at each other. Honestly, we hoped. We knew we needed something to make the galaxy take us seriously, but we also knew the weapon alone would not be enough. We needed to prove we deserved to be here. And we did that by saving the Harmony Wind, Weapons Officer Nari said. We did that by choosing not to be tyrants. Taman corrected. We had the power to intimidate, conquer, or dominate. We chose to protect instead. That choice mattered more than the weapon. Admiral Han's voice came through from Earth. Well said, Captain. Command wants you to know that 6 more destroyers are under construction. Different designs incorporating what we learned. Some faster, some heavier, some specialized for different roles. And all of them, Taman guessed, still built around railguns. Of course, and the Admiral replied. It is our signature now. The galaxy knows. Human ships are slow, heavily armored, and absolutely not to be messed with. Commander Park pulled up a long-range scan. Captain, we are being contacted by the Swift Talon. Captain Vrel wants to know if we would be interested in joint patrol operations in the border sectors. Tell him yes, Taman said. And ask if his crews would be interested in cross-training exercises. As the Indomitable prepared to leave Council space, heading for its new assignment with the Galactic Protection Initiative, Lieutenant Choi Hyun thought about everything that had changed. 6 months had passed since humanity joined the Galactic Protection Initiative. The Indomitable now patrolled the border sectors alongside ships from 4 different species. What started as suspicion had grown into something like friendship. Captain Lee Taman stood on the bridge watching the stars. Beside him, a Vrelian officer named Krell was learning human navigation systems. Not Krill the ambassador, but his younger cousin. Krell had volunteered for the exchange program. Your systems are so different, Krell said, his mouth parts clicking with concentration. Everything is manual backup. We rely on automation. Automation fails, Lieutenant Hyun explained patiently. Humans learn to always have a manual option. In battle, simple systems survive. Commander Park entered the bridge carrying data pads. Captain, we have the monthly reports. Pirate activity in our sector is down 43%. The other sectors with mixed patrols are seeing similar results. The pirates are learning, Taman said. They know we work together now. A communication came through. It was Captain Vrel of the Swift Talon. Indomitable, we have a situation. Long-range sensors detected a distress beacon in the dead zone. The dead zone was a region of space nobody claimed. No government, no law, no protection. It was where criminals hid and where ships disappeared. Details? Taman asked. Science vessel. The research ship Curiosity, registered to the Moth Collective. They were studying stellar phenomena. Their last transmission said they were under attack. That was 3 hours ago. Park pulled up the location. That is deep in the dead zone, 5 jumps from our position. No other ships nearby. It could be a trap, Weapons Officer Nari warned. Pirates sometimes use fake distress calls to lure in rescue ships. Krell looked confused. Why would we risk our ships for a trap? Because it might not be a trap, Taman said. And if it is real, people need help. But the risk is part of the job, Hyun said simply. Taman made his decision. Vrel, we are going in. Can you coordinate with Sector Command? We might need backup. Acknowledged. Swift Talon will follow at maximum speed. Be careful, friend. 6 months ago, Vrel would never have used that word for a human. The Indomitable jumped into the dead zone. Each jump took them farther from help, farther from safety. The crew was tense but ready. This reminds me of Kelper 7, Park said quietly. Let us hope it ends the same way. Taman replied. They dropped out of FTL at the coordinates. Lieutenant Hyun immediately scanned the area. I have the Curiosity on sensors. Heavy damage. Life signs are weak but present. And Captain, he paused, I am reading 8 hostile contacts. Not Dresh pirates. These are Karn warships. The bridge went silent. The Karn were not random pirates. They were a military species, exiled from the Galactic Compact 50 years ago for war crimes. They survived by raiding and stealing. Their ships were older but well-armed. 8 ships? Nari said. That is a full battle group. Why would they commit a full battle group to attack one science vessel? Park wondered. Because they knew we would come, Taman realized. This is a trap, but not for the Curiosity. For us, a communication channel opened. A harsh voice spoke in broken galactic common. Human ship, we have been watching you. You think you are strong? You think one weapon makes you powerful? We will take your ship and learn your secrets. Taman kept his voice calm. This is Captain Lee Taman. You are ordered to release the Curiosity and leave immediately. This is your only warning, laughter. You are slow. We are fast. You are alone. We are many. You will surrender or die. Krell looked worried. Captain, we should retreat. Call for reinforcements. The Curiosity does not have time, Taman said, and neither do we. If we run, they will chase us down. He studied the tactical display. Besides, 8 ships is not many. Not many? Krell's voice went high. Captain, I have studied human humor. This is not the time for jokes. I am not joking, Taman said. He turned to his crew. Nari, can you target all 8 ships from our current position? The weapons officer ran calculations. Negative. They are spread out. Different ranges and angles. I can get clean shots on 3, maybe 4. Then we make them come to us, Taman said. Hyun, broadcast on all frequencies. Full power. Yes, sir. Taman's next words were not for the Karn, they were for everyone listening. The Galactic Protection Initiative. Sector Command. Every species monitoring this region of space. This is Captain Lee Taman of the Korea Deep Space Force ship Indomitable. We are responding to a distress call in the dead zone. The Moth science vessel Curiosity is under attack by Karn warships. The Karn have demanded our surrender. He paused. We refuse. The Karn commander responded with more threats. Taman ignored them. Helm, full stop. Rotate to bearing 270. Put our bow toward the largest concentration of hostile ships. Sir, that makes us stationary. A perfect target, exactly, Taman said. Minho, all power to forward shields in the weapon system. Nari, prepare for rapid fire sequence. Rapid fire? Nari looked shocked. Sir, we have never fired more than 1 shot at a time. There is a first time for everything, Taman said. Can you do it? Nari took a deep breath. Yes, sir. But recharge time between shots will be 1 minute. We will be vulnerable. 1 minute is fine. We just need to make them afraid for 1 minute. Commander Park understood the plan. You are going to kill their ships faster than they can react. Make them panic. Make them run, Taman corrected. Fear is more powerful than force. The 8 Karn ships began their attack approach. They split into 3 groups, trying to come at the Indomitable from multiple angles. Classic pack tactics. Forward group entering range, Hyun reported. 3 ships. Distance 40,000 kilometers and closing. Nari, target the lead ship. Fire when ready. The Indomitable shuddered. The tungsten rod crossed the distance in a fraction of a second. The lead Karn warship exploded in a brilliant flash. Target destroyed, recharging. The Karn ships hesitated. Their formation wavered. 50 seconds to next shot, Nari called out. The remaining Karn ships opened fire. Energy beams and missiles streaked toward the Indomitable. The shields lit up as they absorbed the punishment. Shields at 82%, Hyun reported. 40 seconds, more weapons fire. The Karn were concentrating everything on the slow human ship, trying to overwhelm its defenses before it could fire again. Shields at 67%. 30 seconds. Krell watched in amazement. They are not running. They are still attacking. They think they can win, Park said. They see our shields dropping. They think they have time. 20 seconds. Shields at 54%. The second group of Karn ships was almost in position. They were moving to flank the Indomitable. 10 seconds. Shields at 41%, Hyun said. His voice was steady despite the danger. 5 seconds. Target locked. Second ship in formation. Fire. Another shudder. Another flash. The second Karn warship ceased to exist. Recharging. 1 minute. Now the Karn realized their mistake. They had expected a weapon that fired once and then needed time to be useful again. They had not expected rapid sequential fire. Third group is breaking off, Hyun reported. They are moving away from us. Do not let them, Taman ordered. Nari, target the closest ship in that group. Hoyun, predict their course and feed it to Nari's targeting computer. But sir, they are retreating, Krell said. We can just let them go. They attacked a science vessel, Taman said coldly. They tried to trap us. They need to learn that has consequences. 50 seconds later, the railgun fired again. The fleeing Karn ship exploded. The remaining 5 Karn ships made a critical decision. They ran. Not in formation, not coordinated. Just pure panic. Each ship for itself. All hostile ships are fleeing the battle space, Hyun confirmed. Let them go, Taman said. Get us to the Curiosity. Prepare medical teams. As the Indomitable approached the damaged science vessel, Park asked, Why did you let them escape? I need them to tell the story, Taman explained. They will return to their base and report what happened. They will say the human ship destroyed 3 of their warships in 3 minutes. They will say their weapons barely scratched our shields. They will say running was the only option. And other pirates will hear that story, Park realized. And they will think twice before attacking anyone in our patrol sectors. The rescue operation took 4 hours. The Curiosity had significant damage, but all crew members survived. The Moth scientists were grateful but confused. Captain Lee, the science vessel's leader, said, Why did you come? This was clearly a trap. You risked your ship for us. Because you needed help, Taman said simply. That is reason enough. By the time the Swift Talon and 2 other patrol ships arrived, the battle was over. Captain Vrel could only stare at the debris field. 3 kills? He asked. Against 8 Karn warships? They made it easy, Taman said. They attacked from predictable angles. They underestimated our shields. They did not expect rapid fire. Nobody expected rapid fire, Vrel said. I did not know your weapon could fire that quickly. Neither did they, Park said with a slight smile. News of the battle spread quickly through galactic networks. Within days, every species knew the story. The human destroyer that went into a trap and destroyed 3 warships in 3 minutes. That stood alone against 8 ships and won. Pirate activity in the border sectors dropped by 70% over the next month.